The Cornbread Mafia was the name for a group of Kentucky men who created the largest domestic marijuana production operation in United States history. It was based in Marion, Nelson and Washington counties in central Kentucky. The term, Cornbread Mafia, was first used in public by federal prosecutors in a June 1989 press conference, where they revealed that 70 men had been arrested for organizing a marijuana trafficking ring that stretched across 30 farms in 10 states across Midwest. The story was first reported in the Courier-Journal magazine in Louisville, Kentucky on October 8, 1989, and then in 2012 in the narrative nonfiction book, The Cornbread Mafia, a homegrown syndicate's code of silence and the biggest marijuana bust in American history, 2012, by James Higdon. In his two books, The Origins of the Cornbread Mafia, a memoir of sorts, 2016, and Cornbread Mafia, The Outlaws of Central Kentucky, 2018, author and founding member Joe Keith Bickett chronicles his first-hand account as to how the term Cornbread Mafia was coined in Kentucky in the late 1970s, and the group's ultimate downfall in the late 1980s. Bickett self-published his first memoir 4 years after Higdon's book. Origin of the name. Higdon's book reports that Assistant U.S. Attorney Cleve Gamble said at the June 1989 press conference, "The organization is a highly motivated, well-financed group of marijuana growers from Kentucky who are responsible for growing this vast amount of marijuana and who call themselves the Cornbread Mafia." Prosecutors held this press conference to lay out their case against the Cornbread Mafia because of the 70 men arrested in association with it. 0 of them cooperated with authorities, which thwarted a continuing criminal enterprise case against the suspected ringleaders. Internal documents describe the proposed CCE prosecution as futile because of the group's collective silence. This code of silence persisted until Higdon published his book, The Cornbread Mafia, in 2012. Joe Keith Bickett was released from prison in 2011 after serving approximately 21 years of his 25-year sentence. In 2016, Joe Keith Bickett self-published a first-hand account in his 2016 memoir titled The Origins of the Cornbread Mafia, a memoir of sorts, in which he provides a first-hand account how the term Cornbread Mafia was actually coined in September of 1978. Allegations. Between 1985 and 1989, 70 Kentuckians were accused of growing 182 tons of marijuana on 29 farms in 10 states, including Minnesota, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Nebraska, Missouri and Kansas, which federal prosecutors considered to be the largest domestic marijuana producing organization in the nation. By the end of 1991, prosecutors had arrested more than 100 members of the Cornbread Mafia, mostly from Lebanon, Kentucky. According to Joe Keith Bickett's second book, Bobby Joe Red Eye Shoemaker, the leader of the Kansas crew, was the only defendant in the group's history to be indicted on a CCE charge, career criminal enterprise. Jimmy Bickett and author Joe Keith Bickett, along with 2 co-defendants, were the only defendants who proceeded to a jury trial after being indicted in March of 1989 in federal court in Louisville, Kentucky on distribution of marijuana charges. Johnny Boone. The most notable member of the Cornbread Mafia was Johnny Boone, arrested in 1987 as the ringleader of a marijuana operation in Minnesota, for which he served about 15 years in prison. In June 2008, police discovered Boone growing 2,421 marijuana seedlings on his farm outside Springfield, Kentucky in Washington County, but Boone escaped arrest, under threat of a life sentence without parole because the bust would be his 3rd federal conviction under the 3 strikes law. Boone became a fugitive and the subject of a segment of America's Most Wanted. On December 22, 2016, after 8 years on the run, Johnny Boone was arrested in a small town outside Montreal, where he had been tracked by the U.S. Marshals Service. He was brought to the United States in April 2017. On December 19, 2017, Boone pleaded guilty to 1 count of a superseding information. Boone was represented by attorneys C. Thomas Hectus, Henry Stevens and Elmer J. George. Author, Joe Keith Bickett was employed as law clerk paralegal for Mr. George and worked as a legal aid for the attorneys on the Johnny Boone case. Contrary to the life sentences he was facing, Boone was sentenced to 57 months by Chief District Court Judge Charles Simpson, III, the same judge who sentenced the Bickett brothers, Jimmy and Joe Keith, in 1990. Boone was sentenced to serve his time at FCI Elkton, a minimum security federal prison in Ohio. In the midst of the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, the Elkton prison became notorious for being overrun with the disease. On April 8, 2020, a former Louisville police officer, Brandon Wood, who was serving time at Elkton for his role in a child sex abuse scandal, asked a judge for release from Elkton due to COVID-19. Boone's attorneys made a similar request on May 21, which was granted on June 3, 2020. Obama clemency. President Barack Obama granted clemency to 3 men from Marion County, Kentucky. All were either directly or indirectly connected to the Cornbread Mafia. In November 2011, President Obama granted a pardon to Les Berry, an original member of the alleged Cornbread Mafia, who was caught in Wisconsin driving a getaway car with 6 other Kentucky men fleeing a marijuana farm in Minnesota in late October. 1987. In March 2015, President Obama commuted the prison sentences of 22 drug offenders, including Francis Darrell Hayden, a Marion County native. Hayden had been serving a life prison sentence for marijuana cultivation because he was convicted 3 times for illegal cultivation, triggering the 3 strikes law. His last bust was in Michigan in 1998 for growing nearly 19,000 marijuana plants, after similar busts in 1980 and 1990. In December 2016, President Obama granted clemency to an additional 231 incarcerated people, including another man from Marion County, Aaron Glasscock. Glasscock was arrested as a college student in the late 1990s as part of a drug trafficking ring operated by his father. In 2000, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison, just 2 months shy of his pre-med degree. Glasscock's commutation was announced just a few days before Johnny Boone was captured in Canada. In January 2017, Higdon reported on these Obama clemencies of Cornbread men for Politico, suggesting that Obama could pardon Johnny Boone before he left office and the big statement Obama could make on legalizing pot. Cornbread Mafia. In media and popular culture. For much of the 1980s, the Cornbread Mafia was reported upon by photojournalist Steve Lowry of the Lebanon Enterprise, many of whose photographs are in Higdon's book. By 2007, the term Cornbread Mafia had come to mean general Southern-style corruption. There is also a song by Molly Hatchet called Cornbread Mafia on the Kingdom of XII album, and a now-defunct band that called itself Cornbread Mafia. In a 2015 interview with Terry Gross, Graham Yost, the creator and showrunner of the FX series Justified, said, "Honestly, we didn't know a lot about the Dixie Mafia. It also goes by the name the Cornbread Mafia. But we, started poking around. Frankly, probably, we started with reading Wikipedia like anyone else. A series of unsolved murders in Bardstown, Kentucky have been incorrectly attributed to the Cornbread Mafia. In 2016, Texas singer-songwriter Cody Jinks produced and released his album, Black Sheep, which featured a song about Johnny Boone simply titled Johnny. In April 2018, Nashville recording artist Sweepy Walker, the grandson of beloved Grand Ole Opry legend Billy Walker, released Cornbread Mafia, a feel-good, good-time bar song about local legends John Boone, them Bickett Boys, and too many more to mention. In June 2018, singer-songwriter Tyler Childers held a benefit concert for Johnny Boone at Gravely Brewery in Louisville, telling an interviewer from the Louisville Eccentric Observer, "I read the book, Cornbread Mafia, that Jim Higdon came out with, and I got some friends from over my way that were friends with Johnny. people that I hold in high regard, and people that hold him in high regard. I figured that I would try to help in some way. Legal cannabis. A cannabis breeder in Colorado has created a strain of marijuana called Cornbread. In 2018, Syndicate and Boone, a CBD company based in Marion County, became the first CBD company to produce hemp to make CBD products grown by original members of the Cornbread Mafia. Syndicate and Boone not only sells CBD products but also grows the hemp to make their products on their family farms near Raywick, Kentucky, which is primarily grown by original members of the Cornbread Mafia. Syndicate and Boone CBD products are the only CBD products endorsed by the original members of the Cornbread Mafia, including Joe Keith Syndicate and Johnny Boone. Their products are sold nationwide and on their website, syndicatandboone.com. Syndicate and Boone prides themselves in producing a CBD product from seed to seal. In 2019, Cornbread Mafia book author James Higdon co-founded Cornbread Hemp 2, which sells CBD cannabidiol products in retail outlets coast to coast and on its website, cornbreadhemp.com. Cornbread Hemp was featured in the November 2019 print edition of High Times magazine. In January 2020, Cornbread Hemp became the first brand from Kentucky to offer USDA-certified organic CBD products. In May 2020, Higdon was featured in a Q&A with Forbes contributor Warren Bobrow, the cocktail whisperer, and Cornbread Hemp products were featured in Whole Foods magazine. Further reading: Higdon, James, the 3rd of September 2013. Cornbread Mafia, a homegrown syndicate's code of silence and the biggest marijuana bust in American history. ISBN 978-0762788439. Syndicate, Joe Keith, the 24th of August 2016. The Origins of the Cornbread Mafia, a memoir of sorts. ISBN 978-1536814446. Syndicate, Joe Keith. Cornbread Mafia, The Outlaws of Central Kentucky. ISBN 9781725563636. References